Morning, guys. So Daniel asked me to shoot you guys just a quick little tutorial video, just a little freshen up on some of the functions here with our VMS. So I'm going to start with the basic stuff. Most of these icons here, for what you guys are using, we're going to be doing, line measurement from point to point. We're going to do radius, diameter, angle. Some of these here where like you have intersecting points. This one goes from one surface to one here. Like you can go from the same surface, you can take multiple measurements from one surface. Really, for seal measuring, those aren't really that necessary. So we'll go over some of the more basic ones and how to properly use them. And then I'll show you guys how to use auto track. Okay, for primarily we want to use auto track for just finding cross sections on seals and diameters, because what auto track does is, I'll show you later, it'll automatically find the dark edge of the seal, so it more or less takes the guesswork out for you guys. Okay, so we'll start with some basic stuff here real quick. So if we click this icon over here, okay, we're just going to do from point to point. And if you notice, we have the main screen and then we have the small screen where it kind of gives us the close-up. Now, for this one, we'll just go from one point, the distance from this point, straight down to this one. Now, when measuring seals, the problem is unless they're cut perfectly straight, you'll always have like a three-dimensional little step there, okay? That's just because it's not looking straight down at it, it's kind of angled backwards, okay? So you can't measure off of this here. The actual edge of the seal is this edge right along here, okay? This leading edge here. So that's your edge, that's the top view of the seal. That's what you have to go by, okay? So if we measure this distance here, you start at one point, go straight down, and then click again, okay, and then you can move it out here so you can view the number a little better. Left click again, okay, and that'll give you that distance. Alright guys, so now what you can do is, if you don't need this measurement in here anymore, if it just because it gets in your way, if you click the new page right up here, that gets rid of any of your entities here in your list. Okay, so you click that again and you start fresh. Okay, now while we're on this image here, we're going to go ahead and measure an angle, okay? And pretty much all an angle is, it's going to take two lines, all right, and then measure the angle between the lines. So pretty straightforward. So we click this icon over here. It'll say measuring angle of line and line. That's, Google Translate for you from the Chinese. Click on that, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to measure the angle of this line right here, okay? First thing you need to do is, I need one line starting from the top that goes straight across, okay? Because it's going to take the measurement off of this straight line right here, okay? So click it once. Now our first line here is established. Now we need the second line that it's going to measure the angle in between here. What you don't want to do is, you see how that line kind of sort of becomes like dotted, like green, red, green, red? You need it to be off of that just a little bit, otherwise the software is just not, it's going to screw it up. Okay, so once that line's solid red, okay, you kind of see where, if I move my crosshairs, you see my crosshairs here, alright, I don't want them right on that line, I need it to be off just a little bit, then I can click and measure my second line, and I'm just following this line going straight down here, the seal, okay? Left click again, and then move your crosshairs in between those two lines, and there's your angle, okay? It'll give you 40-degree angle, okay? So that's angles for you. Now say, for instance, this down here, this is a radius, okay? And you want to find out what this radius is. There's two things you can do. You can either use this icon here, which measures a radius, or you can use this one over here, which is measuring an arc, okay? That one I feel is a little simpler to use because you just pick 3 points and it'll measure the arc, but it'll also give you the radius in your data sheet over here. So if I use this one, measure arc, just point 3 points within this radius here, okay? So I'll go 1, 2, and then you see the arc kind of appears like right here. 3. Okay, so now it's giving me this radius right here. The arc, I mean, I'm sorry. And it also gives me the radius right down here, okay? Got radius of 0.496. Alright, now be careful though when you're doing this, because if you start way out here, okay, this no longer is the radius. The radius is only this little portion out here, so if you start the arc way out here and make your points here, obviously it's not going to measure this small radius in here. It's going to think, okay, this is the actual total radius, okay? So you actually have to be careful where you're placing these points. Make sure that it's within this radius. It's just a small radius here, okay? 1, 2, 3. Alright, there's your radius again. Same thing applies if you use this radius dimension. Okay, we're going within the radius. 1, 2, and now what it does is it kind of shows like an entire circle. Okay, all that does is because it's using just a different image to represent the radius here. But it's pretty much the same principle, the 3 points, okay? And it gives you the radius measurement out here, okay? 0.461. Cool, all right. So those are those. Now, I'm gonna shift over something else. I'm gonna adjust my lighting a little bit. All right. Let me get this into focus. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use what's called my auto track. And if you look down here, okay, this auto track, this is where you turn it on and off. All right. What you do is you want to click auto track on, and it turns it on. And when we go to select a diameter reading, okay, click on that. And what you'll notice is we'll have like a green box appear around your crosshairs, okay? If you use your scroll on your mouse key, you can make that box smaller or bigger, okay? And what that does is you place your crosshair or your box, if you look in the small window, between the outside edge of the seal and pretty much just the empty space behind it. And what it'll do is you'll notice the crosshair is not right on the edge, but the software is going to differentiate where that fine edge starts. It looks at the shading between the dark and the light of the seal. Okay, so just left click and see it. Without me moving, all I did was click it. It automatically found that outer leading edge of the seal. So now I just go around, do the same thing on all 3 points. Okay. I just have my my box overlapping the outer edge of the seal. Automatically find. Oh, maybe I should turn on my VMS. Let's try that again. There's 1, 2. And 3. See, I'm just overlapping it, okay? The line's not even on the actual edge of the seal. Just left click and it automatically locates that. And it'll give me my diameter. So this is nice if you're doing like high volume jobs. It pretty much takes the operator error out of you actually manually finding the outer edge of the seal, okay? The same principle can work for using cross section. All right, cross section. I'll use my this icon right here, the 2 lines. Okay, dot to dot. And all I do is place it right on the above the leading edge. Click, and straight down in a straight line. And there you go. And it auto finds that. Okay. You don't have to put the crosshair right on the line. You just have to be, that line has to be within that green circle, green box, okay? And it'll auto find that. Now, the key is though, is you gotta have it focused right. Otherwise, the software, if you have multiple lines, okay, or different, if it's not focused on one edge, it might auto track the wrong edge or the wrong line, okay? So it has to see a very definitive edge between the empty space and the actual seal, okay? So like the lighting and the focus has to be just right. So now if you want to, there's a few other little things that I can show you real quick. If you use, if you click on this letter A right here, okay, it allows you to enter text. So if you're using this for a QC sheet, you know, we write in things like measurement A, okay? You click OK, and now what that does is you can place text on this screen here. If you left click once, you get like a little arrow, okay, and you can point it towards the measurement that you're taking. All right, and now you have this the text on this screen. And remember, whenever you guys make a QC sheet, when you click on Windows or Excel, which are the icons up here, okay, you got Windows and Excel. There's your QC sheets. You guys, now there's a default that the software creates, but you can create your own QC sheets then. All right. But whatever's in this image at the time of you making a QC sheet, that's what's going to show up on the sheet as well. So if you have this text in here, it's going to show up. So if I click on Excel right now, okay, so there's my image of that screen. So it's going to show measurement A. So now when you go up here and you create, you know, your QC sheet the way you want to, like I said, it's just a very, very basic format of a QC sheet. You can type in, okay, measurement A, you know, is so-and-so with this tolerance. When the customer looks at this picture, he sees, oh, okay, measurement A is this measurement here, okay? So that's something for you guys to play with. And I believe that's it for now. So if there's anything else, guys, just shoot me a text, give me a call. Daniel's got my phone number, email, and we'll be putting this on YouTube here shortly for you guys to view. Thanks.